Once all of these things are dialed in and the funnel is moving, someone will eventually make a purchase. And then from there, it's the promised land. We've collected money. For the audience, Advantage Plus is on, so that's what we wanted for our broad audience. So we'll keep Advantage Plus on. This stage is going to build a pool of people that engage with the social media and go to the brand's website. And then we will retarget those people or send more ads to that pool. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another video. This is the next episode in the Build a Brand series where we are building this brand concept called Sugar Baby. In the last episode, we did all of the email marketing and I broke down a bunch of email templates. Before that, we built the Shopify store. I backed up the Shopify store screenshots and the email templates here in the Sugar Baby map, which is in the Skool group, link in the description. And today we are now talking about paid ads architecture, which I think will be the last episode for this season 1 of the Build a Brand series, which features this Sugar Baby brand concept. I think it's been fun, but I kind of want to move on and do some other concepts. I want to do a snowboarding brand, and I have some other ideas in the pipeline that I'm sure you'll hear about soon. So like and subscribe for that, hit the bell notification so you're in the loop when I release all of that awesome content in the future. And without further ado, let's get into the paid ads architecture. If you've been following along up to this point, you know that we have a drop planned hypothetically for Sugar Baby. It's a 3-piece capsule. The products look like this, and we're hopefully going to sell out the drop by utilizing all of the awesome content that we mocked up and then reach as many people in the ideal target audience as possible using paid ads. There are 2 stages to the paid ad system. There's the cold prospecting stage and the warm retargeting stage. Cold prospecting is when you reach completely new people that have never heard of or interacted with the brand before. The platforms we're going to run ads on are Meta for IG Reels, Story, and Feed placements, and TikTok, which is in line with our content strategy because we focused on Instagram and TikTok in our content strategy video. The objective is lead generation, so we want to get as many people's emails as possible. In my experience, I've gotten email opt-ins for my brand as low as $3 on TikTok and Meta. So that gave me some good data telling me that my ads were really resonating with the TikTok audience. And then I just doubled down on that content strategy and then ran ads to that content that was already working. For Sugar Baby, we're going to send people from TikTok and Instagram to a VIP waitlist landing page. So with Shopify, we could just utilize the password page and add some copy to that page saying, sign up for the VIP waitlist. And then we'll need to include some kind of incentive or what I'm calling an early bird perk. So that might be free shipping, maybe you give them a discount or a small gift. In one of the other episodes, we discussed a little wristband as a small gift. Doing little accessories like that, it's pretty cheap and easy to add into your strategy. It just takes a little bit of extra work. Not for everybody, not completely necessary either. There are other ways to set up early bird perks. We're utilizing the lifestyle content, the art-directed reels, and the catalog content from our photo shoot. This stage is going to build a pool of people that engage with the social media and go to the brand's website. And then we will retarget those people or send more ads to that pool. The pool includes IG engagers from the last month to 2 months, website visitors, TikTok engagers, and people on the email list that sign up for the early bird perk. The content in the warm retargeting phase consists of founder/story clips, which really connect with the audience, social proof like user-generated content, unboxing style videos, testimonials, try-on clips, and problem solutions, addressing an issue in the market. Maybe a certain popular style is extremely expensive and you are more affordable, or maybe a certain popular fabric is actually kind of uncomfortable, so you made your own version that's much more comfortable. There are lots of different solutions to people's problems that I'm sure your brand can solve. You just need to highlight those. because these three types of content are likely to get conversions. They're not for growing the social media, getting thousands of followers. The point here with these retargeting ads is to get people to buy. It's to make money. So I broke down this whole process in a little bit more detail with this little funnel flow. I'm going to break this down. Then I'm going to break down the campaign architecture for Meta and TikTok ads, and then I'll show you exactly how I would set them up step by step, and then how I would scale it once the budget is working. But first, let's understand how the funnel works. So here's the flow. We have cold ads. Again, cold means it's going out to people that have never interacted with the brand before. These cold ads direct people to a VIP landing page. When someone hits this page, they can sign up for something. In our case, the early bird perk. There's copy on the landing page or the password page telling people what they get when they sign up, incentivizing them to add their email address. In the online marketing world, this is usually called a lead magnet. Then an email sequence will nurture all the people that sign up on the VIP landing page. I broke down the VIP waitlist sequence in the last video, all about emails. We'll send out our launch burst sequence on the day of the launch. I also broke that down in the email video. And then we'll send out our post-purchase user-generated content requests. So that's when we give people discounts for future purchases in return for a selfie or a little video, or a review or a testimonial. Further down the funnel, we have our warm retargeting. This is where we send the ads to those audiences I described earlier. So the site visitors, anyone that engaged with one of the cold traffic ads, and then anyone that added to cart or initiated checkout. That's what ATC/IC stands for, add to cart/initiate checkout, but with no purchase. So these are people that maybe got cold feet right at the finish line. They put something in their cart, they went to checkout, but they didn't buy. So we want to serve ads to them because they have the highest intent, and that's likely to give us the best return on our investment. Warm traffic ads or retargeting ads work really well when you showcase testimonials, close-up detail shots, and reminders or urgency like last chance, or we're only making 50 of these, or only 4 size small left. That's what urgency means. Because these types of content are the best for conversions. Certain types of content are better for getting leads. Certain types of content are better for gaining followers. Certain types of content are better for getting lots of views. And certain types of content are better for conversions and making money. So those are the angles we want to tackle with our retargeting ads, the angles that are going to make us the most amount of money. Once all of these things are dialed in and the funnel is moving, someone will eventually make a purchase. And then from there, it's the promised land. We've collected money, and now it's way easier to get that person to buy something again in the future than it was to get them to buy the first time. But we could still run ads and send emails to these people even after they purchased the first time. That's not the end of the funnel for them. After someone purchases, we are going to send them additional retargeting ads on Meta and TikTok, where we show them how to style the clothes, promote the next drops and colorways as we get more teaser content for upcoming drops. And we can run Spark ads from user-generated content to review posts. So for example, someone on TikTok can post a clip of them trying on the garment that they bought. And then me as a brand owner and media buyer, I can then run traffic or ads. I could use that person's content as an ad. And TikTok users love this because it's just free traffic for them. It's just free engagement. It's free followers. I'm spending the money, so they don't really have to worry about it. And then with TikTok Shop, which I know we're not doing for this specific project, but maybe for the next brand concept, with TikTok Shop specifically, you can have affiliates, and then they post a clip wearing the clothes or trying on the clothes, and then you can run ads to their video, and then if that video makes a sale, the creator can make a small commission. So then everyone is incentivized, and it actually creates this really nice ecosystem where creators grow quickly, the brand grows their audience quickly, and then everybody makes money. And then after all of that, you should hopefully now have a repeat customer, someone that looks forward to the next drop, someone that engages with your email list. someone that checks out all the social media and comments on all the posts, etc. All right, now that we've covered the theory, let's break down the 3-tier architecture of TikTok and Meta ads. So all campaigns for TikTok and Meta ads use this structure. They have the campaign level, the ad set or ad group level, depending on if you're in Meta ads or TikTok ads, ad set for Meta ads, ad group, TikTok ads, and then the ad level. Each of these is nested within the one above it. So within a campaign, you can have multiple ad sets, and then within an ad set, you could have multiple ads. And that looks something kind of like this. So we could have one campaign for cold traffic, and then within that campaign, we can have 3 ad sets, and then within each ad set, we can have 3 ads. It's kind of like a ladder. And it's also kind of like a Russian doll, where it's just dolls within dolls, right? That's kind of like how these campaigns work for TikTok and Meta ads. So now let's break down what each tier actually is, or what it does. So at the campaign level, which is the outermost level, you set your objective, your budget type, and your optimization goal. If you're unfamiliar with those terms, that's fine. I'm going to break it down. An objective typically is one of these: conversions, traffic, video views, or engagement. It's basically just telling the social media platform, Meta or TikTok, I want more conversions like purchases and add to carts. I want more traffic. I don't necessarily care if they buy. I just want the most amount of people to visit my website. That's what traffic optimization means. Optimizing for video views. If your objective is video views, that means you want to pay the least for the most amount of views. And if your objective is engagement, that means you want to pay the least for the most engagement or the most engaged audience, people that are going to comment and share and like the posts. So that's objective. Then next you have budget type and optimization goal, which is explained here. So there's CBO and there's ABO. CBO is campaign budget optimization. It's where you have one budget across all ad sets, and then the platform auto distributes your budget. Then next is ABO, or ad set budget optimization. This is where each ad set gets its own budget, which gives you tighter control. If you don't quite know what that means, that's probably because you don't understand what an ad set is. So let's go over what an ad set is. At the ad set or ad group level, this is one group within the campaign level, right? It looks like this. So we just went over our campaign level. Now we're in the ad set level within that campaign. This is where you define the audience targeting, the placement, and the schedule of the ads. This is what we're going to use for the audience targeting for Sugar Baby. Broad. So we'll have an ad set for broad audience where you don't put any interest, you don't put anything, you just let the algorithm optimize and figure it out. We'll add interest stacks in an ad set. It's where you group relevant niches. So this could be fans of tennis, fans of streetwear, whatever customers of Sugar Baby are into. Next are lookalike audiences, which we're not really going to get into too much here, but basically what a lookalike audience is you give Meta or TikTok a bunch of data about your customers. Maybe that's an email list, or maybe you have the Meta and TikTok pixels installed and you've collected a large number of website visitors or add to carts or purchases. You can then make new audiences based on that data. So you could say, hey, Facebook, I have 1,000 people on my email list, or I had 1,000 people purchase from my store. Make me an audience that has all the same data points as all of these purchasers. So you find new people that share all of the same interests and same demographics, psychographics as my current customers. That's extremely powerful when scaling the brand, but it's not that applicable if you are starting out. And for this example, we're not talking about scaling Sugar Baby per se. We're talking about just trying to sell out this 3 product drop. But I will touch on scaling towards the end of this video. Next, we'll include custom audiences. So custom audiences are your different retargeting pools. People that visited the site, people that engaged with your social media, people that engaged with an ad. What we covered earlier in this video. Custom audiences are how you set up retargeting ads. You can't set up a retargeting ad without a custom audience. You need to first tell Meta or tell TikTok, these are the people that engaged with my site. It doesn't just happen automatically. You set up that custom audience of people that visited, people that clicked on an ad, and then you include that custom audience in your ad set when you are creating the advertising campaign. For meta ads, we'll just pick Advantage Plus for our placements. Placements means where the ad is going to show up. So this could be like feeds, reels, the sidebar. Meta's Advantage Plus placements option just lets it optimize for you. The algorithm's pretty good. I recommend keeping that on. For TikTok, in-feed is the default. That means you just run ads that show up in the For You page as people are scrolling. And then Spark ads. A Spark ad is when a creator gives you a code that you can then use to authorize that creator's post for ads. So like I was saying earlier, if someone buys one of the Sugar Baby products and they feature the product in one of their videos, maybe they do a try-on video, that creator can then give me a code and then I can put that code into TikTok ads and then run ads to that creator's video. And then within the ad set level, you have the ad level. So you can have multiple ads at the ad level within the ad set. This is where you have your creative, so your video, like the actual content, the copy, which are the words that you include in the captions, and then your call to actions like shop now. For creative testing, I like to test hooks first and then run 3 to 5 ads per ad set. I replace losing ads quickly. If I see that some ads are outperforming others, I'll look at the ones that are underperforming and then I'll do a couple things. Maybe I'll change the hook or I'll change the body copy and then see if that fixes the performance of the ad. And if that doesn't fix the ad, then I just maybe need to use a different video or different photos completely. Okay, while I was filming this, I realized it'll probably just be easiest if I show you the back end of meta ads and kind of explain a little bit more how this works. So as you can see, there are these 3 tabs, one for campaigns, one for ad sets, and one for ads. This is kind of like where you can see an overview of everything. But if I click through to ad sets, then here are all the different ad sets, and then here are all the different ads within the ad sets. So I'm just going to set up a new campaign and kind of break this down for Sugar Baby as if I was doing this as a media buyer for Sugar Baby. So first we have the campaign level. So here we are at the campaign level, create a new campaign. We want to use leads like I was saying before. So that's our objective, choose a campaign objective. Our objective that we want here is leads. So I'm going to pick leads. If we were optimizing for sales and not doing a drop or a pre-launch kind of thing, then we would just go here to sales and click sales because we want to optimize for conversions. So I'll just press OK. We'll name this whatever it was here. It was like Sugar Baby launch objective cold and then the date. So we could copy that, paste it here. So we have Sugar Baby launch objective. I picked sales. Cold, and then the date is 8/13. We have our buying type auction. Don't worry about that. Campaign objective, we picked it sales. Advantage Plus catalog ads, we're going to leave that off for now. But this is something cool that I like to put in the retargeting ad set, so maybe I'll talk about that a little bit later. But here you can upload your catalog like directly from Shopify, and then it will just turn your images and product copy, like the product description, and it'll just turn that into ads. Here is where we can pick CBO or ABO, which I talked a little bit about here. CBO again is campaign budget optimization, and ABO is ad set budget optimization. Let's just set this to $20 a day. Campaign budget is great when you know that you have winning ad sets already, like leg audience or a custom audience. But because this is for cold traffic, we'll just do ABO. I don't have any special ad categories or anything like that, so we could just press next. For ad set name, let's use audience 1 here for our first ad set, and we'll just call that Broad Advantage Plus. We want to drive traffic to the website because we have a Shopify site. We want our performance goal to be maximize number of conversions. For the data set, I have my Pathos of Things website pixel here, but you're going to want to use your own pixel. For Sugar Baby, I would set up a Sugar Baby pixel, for example. Maybe I can make a video about that, but I feel like that's not really my domain. I feel like there are a lot of really awesome videos on YouTube that'll teach you how to set up the metapixel for your Shopify store. For the conversion event, we want purchase. We set our budget to $20. For the audience, Advantage Plus is on, so that's what we wanted for our broad audience. So we'll keep Advantage Plus on. We don't need to add any audience suggestions. And then we can keep the placements as automatic. Then within that, we have our ad level. So this is where we can dump 5 ads, 10 ads, etc. into the ad set level. So then all of these ads, these pieces of creative, these videos will then be served to the audience that we set at the ad set level. So that's the whole point of setting up the ad set level, is determining where the ads are going to be served and who the ads are going to be served to. For the ad set level, we could just do a manual upload, or you can add your catalog and use an Advantage Plus catalog ad. But we'll just do manual upload. If you don't want to create an ad from scratch and you want to use a piece of social content that you already posted, you just use this toggle here and select use existing post instead of create ad. And then you can select the post here. And that's pretty much it on the 3-tier system for the architecture of meta ads. TikTok ads is extremely similar. That was just for the cold traffic campaign. Then we'll have a second campaign running that's just for warm traffic. So we're going to optimize for sales. For our ad sets, we can set each of these 4 audiences up as their own ad set. So we could have one ad set for website visitors within the last month. We could have a separate ad set that's just for people that signed up for the email list. And we can have a separate ad set for people that added to cart and initiated checkout but did not buy. The budget for this is typically 20 to 40% of the total daily budget that you can spend. Then within each of these ad sets, we have ads. And we can do 5 ads per ad set for a total of 20 ads. But you don't need to make 20 different ads. You only need to make 5 ads, and then you copy and paste them into each ad set. So you have the same 5 ads for audience 1, your website visitors. Then you have the same 5 ads for audience 2 or ad set 2, which is your IG and Facebook page engagers, and so on. In this document, which you can get in the Skool, by the way, link in the description, I also broke down how I would set up TikTok ads. Just for the sake of time, I'm not going to do a whole TikTok ad setup as well, but just know it's extremely similar to how you set up meta ads. If you mess around with meta ads or TikTok ads for like 10 minutes, you'll see everything that I just showed you, and you'll see the separate tabs for these 3 tiers. The only main difference, I think, really is that TikTok calls the ad set level the ad group level. I just call it ad set level because I'm more familiar with meta ads and I've been using meta ads longer. But ad set and ad group are basically the same thing. TikTok is not pushing the auto optimization as hard. Like, Meta just wants you to let it do everything and just let the algorithm optimize. And it's actually pushing people away from customizing their audiences and their ad sets. TikTok, broad targeting still tends to work the best in my opinion with TikTok though, because the algorithm is so strong. So when I was scaling Be Lovely's ads, and if you're unfamiliar with Be Lovely, it's a women's shoe brand TikTok shop. It was printing money. When we were scaling the ads for that, the majority of the sales came from ad groups with broad targeting, just because the TikTok algorithm was so strong. And the content pulled the majority of the weight, right? Like, as long as the content is really good, the TikTok algorithm will find its people. But if you want to expand beyond just broad targeting, or rather not expand, but actually get more laser focused and more granular, you can do an interest stack. So for Sugar Baby, we can target people that are interested in tennis. We can target people that are interested in tennis apparel, streetwear, Y2K fashion, and athleisure. And then if we had enough data, we can create a lookalike audience for a third ad group, but that's more for scaling. I want to talk about a little more about the content. So for Sugar Baby at the ad level, the content that we're using for these ads There are a few different lanes that we could go in. I want to repurpose a lot of the content that we mocked up from the AI photo shoot. And then we could just repurpose a lot of that content, like lifestyle content and product imagery or catalog imagery, into these really short hype reels. So it's just 15 seconds. It's like really quick cuts of the different images or different videos of the model wearing the clothes. Then I think it's really important to have founder direct to camera videos. This is basically exactly what I'm doing, right? But instead of just for my personal YouTube channel or for growing a Skool community, it would be specifically about my story running a brand and designing the clothes and the story behind specific pieces that I'm selling for whatever drop or collection that I'm promoting. And then UGC try-on videos are going to be huge for the rest of 2025 and in 2026. If you're doing any kind of short form vertical ads, UGC try-on videos just absolutely crush. Customers love to see an authentic buyer that is actually a fan of the brand, actually buys the clothes, actually wears the clothes. People want to see that. They don't want to just see like a manufactured ad. They want to see something that feels more natural. And it's good to incorporate scarcity hooks. So it just adds a little bit more urgency, saying something like only 150 sets, or I only made 50 pieces of this garment, or your size is going fast, size small, only 4 left, things like that. It's really good for pushing sales. And then let's wrap it up by discussing scaling the budget. So when certain ads do really well and other ads do poorly, you kill the losers, scale the winners. Turn off any ads that aren't working, because if they aren't working, it's just burning money. So you want to turn those off as soon as you identify that they're not working. And then wait. That's step 1, waiting. Wait before you scale the budget up. Wait for at least 2 to 3 purchase conversions per ad set per day for 3 days in a row before scaling the budget. Otherwise, you might break the algorithm. Breaking the algorithm means you add too many things or make too many changes too quickly. The data gets thrown off, the algorithm gets thrown off, and then you end up burning a lot of money. You also need to evaluate your cost per acquisition versus the target. So for example, your cost per acquisition should be at or below your profit safe number, which includes your product costs, your shipping, and any other perks like packaging, or if you elevate the content experience and end up paying a lot more money for the content, you need to factor in all of those costs. If your break-even cost per acquisition is $50, don't scale until you're making sales where your cost per acquisition, or how much it costs to gain a customer, is at $20 or $30, because then you have more margin. And you need a stable click-through rate. If your click-through rate is falling day by day, like after a week, you look and see that the click-through rate on your videos is decreasing and less people are clicking on them, you don't want to scale, because scaling is just going to amplify the decay. It's just going to amplify the rate at which you burn cash on videos that people just aren't clicking on. So with all those things in mind, how do we scale without breaking the algorithm? Well, Meta and TikTok hate massive jumps. They hate, like I said, when you make too many changes too quickly. You can either scale slowly, where you increase the budget by 20 to 30% every 48 hours only on winning ad sets, which if you're starting at $20 a day, that might be like, oh man, I want to spend more money. I want to make more money. It's taking so long. Or you can fast scale. This is where you just duplicate winning ad sets into new campaigns. So it's like, okay, this ad set is spending $50 per day and it's winning at a 2x or 3x return on ad spend. I'm just going to duplicate all of these ads in this ad set to a completely new campaign and just basically double the budget overnight. Then if you duplicate it again, then you just tripled the budget. If you duplicate it again, you just quadrupled the budget. That's fast scaling. That's typically called horizontal scaling, where vertical scaling, on the other hand, is when it goes slow and you're just increasing the budget of a particular ad set over time. Slow scale, vertical; fast scale, horizontal. You only want to scale when your return on ad spend is 2x over your break even for at least 3 days. So if your break even is $50, you need to be making $100 a day for at least 3 days. If your ads are making sales and the frequency is less than 2.5, which means people are seeing it less than 2.5 times on average, then that's an indicator that you're still hitting fresh people. You don't want someone to see that same ad more than 2 or 3 times, because then it's going to get stale and they're going to get ad fatigue. Another indicator for scaling is when your CPMs, or cost per thousand impressions, hasn't spiked more than 20% in the last 3 days. If your CPMs are stable, then that means it's finding new people that are actively engaging. Once you start scaling, there are really 2 ways to do it: vertical scaling or horizontal scaling. Vertical scaling is when you just increase the budget of an ad set. For example, increasing the budget on Meta by 20 to 30% every other day or every 48 hours. TikTok can typically handle higher percentage jumps, like scaling your budget by 50% every other day. But ads fatigue very quickly, so you're going to need to add more hooks. Even if you want to keep using that piece of content, you need to swap out new versions of that content with different hooks or maybe different captions. And then for horizontal scaling, that's just when you add more audiences and creative. So you could easily just duplicate your ad set 4 times within Meta ads, and then now you've quadrupled your budget. Or you can create new ad sets with the same ads or the same content using new interests or lookalike audiences. If you have existing winners, you can repurpose those winners by just adding new hook. And it's always a good idea to just keep old winners running while you're testing. Don't pause old winners. If it's generating money, let it generate money. So that's pretty much it. That's the rundown of Meta and TikTok ads for this brand concept, Sugar Baby. At least this is how I would set up the Meta and TikTok ads if this was a real brand and I was actually trying to make 100 grand with it. I'm sure there are lots of gems in here that you can apply to your own brand. If you have any questions or you want to see me dive more into the Meta Ads Manager, for example, or show you something more specific, leave a comment. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you're always in the loop when I upload. And if you want to launch a fashion brand or scale your fashion brand in 4 months or less, join Fashion Brand Vault Pro. Link is in the description. It's a growing community of fashion brand owners and creative directors, and I provide pretty much everything that you'll need to launch your brand in 4 months or less, or your money back. That pretty much wraps up season 1 of Build a Brand. I'm looking forward to season 2. I hope you are as well, and I will see you in the next one.